Hi everyone, we are here at our favorite test grounds at Sandwani today. The test we're going to be doing today is auto versus manual. Everybody's got their preference, everybody's got their own choice. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to give you the pros and cons of the manual, pros and cons of the auto, and I think at the end of the day, and after the tests, we're also going to give you my opinion on the use case for an auto Jimny, the use case for a manual Jimny. So we've got a busy day ahead of us, and we're going to get those tests done for you. Look at the test scores at the end of this video, and make an informed decision before you buy your Jimny. Okay guys, Derek is again joining us for this test. Derek, you joined us on the tire test, and today we're going to do auto versus manual. Okay. What's your experience with the auto Jimny thus far?
It's been fantastic. It really is a good car. You've got to just drive the thing carefully on the tar because obviously it hasn't got the same sort of vooma as a manual. Mm-hmm. But I love the auto. I mean, it goes anywhere. It's actually quite nice off-road as well. It compensates for your lack of skill, or for my lack of skill. But no, I rate them 100%. Very nice. And
you know what, Derek? I think from my opinion as well, the auto is more capable than the manual off-road. But I think sometimes it takes a bit of the fun factor of the Jimny away off-road. And there are use cases for both of them. Yeah. I think people should do their homework before they make the decision of buying manual versus auto. What was your main use case for buying the auto?
Raymond, it was more for work kind of thing, because mine's done about 40-odd thousand Ks. Yeah. And I've been off-road, I don't know, maybe 1,000 Ks of that. So for me, I bought it mainly for working. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. I think the fun factor off-road, you probably have a little bit more fun with the manual. Yeah. That's been my experience.
Okay, so I would say city driving, the auto is the way to go. Sitting in bad traffic all that day, it's the auto is just much more comfortable. Overlanding, hunting for gears on the open road. Your opinion on that?
Yeah, that's where you've got to drive it. It does hunt, especially when you've got the cruise control on. Yeah. At about 120, anything that's off the main sort of level of flat, yes, it starts hunting straight away. So that is an issue. I mean, the motor's only a 1.5. Yeah. So at that 120, 110, it hunts a hell of a lot. Yeah. In fact, I hardly ever use the cruise control.
Okay. Okay, so guys, that's already one of the things you need to keep in mind. If you're thinking about doing an overlanding trip, is that hunting of the gears going to bother you a lot? The amount of weight you're carrying? Are you planning to put a trailer behind it? That's all factors that we're going to discuss. But we're going to get on with the test today. Derek, ready for the test?
Absolutely. Bring it on.
Thanks again for joining us again. Let's get to the test, guys. Okay, guys, for the first test, we're going to be driving through this little bit of an axle twister. The reason why we're doing this is so that you can see how controlled the auto is versus the manual in an off-road situation. And you're also going to see that you're going to need a bit more 4x4 skill in the manual than in the auto. The auto is much friendlier for newer drivers. The manual is a bit more tricky. I might even, let the engine cut out on an obstacle because I don't have enough revs when the traction control kicks in, stuff like that. That will never happen in the auto. So let's have a look and see how the manual goes first. After that, Derek will push through the auto and we can see what the difference is between the two cars. Okay guys, for this test we're going to be driving down this hill. If you've taken your Jimny off-road, everybody knows on steep downhills, especially off-road, first low even in a manual is way too fast. You still need to apply brakes to make sure that you're not going down the hill too fast. Downhill descent control doesn't work on steep hills. It's going to work on passes and that type of stuff for you where the gradient is not that much. So you'll see Derek and myself will both drive down this hillside over here, and both of us are going to need to apply brakes. What we're also establishing in this test is when I'm driving passes downhill, going down the passes, the manual will give you better gear ratios. You'll be able to change to a lower gear while going down, and that's all because you don't want your brakes to heat up. If you're on your brakes down a pass that's really long, you're going to start getting brake fade. With the manual, not as much, because you can switch to a lower gear and drive against that compression if the gradient is not too much. Your problem with the auto is the only thing you've got is brakes. Yes, you can switch into a lower gear, but some other time it's going to switch over to a higher gear because of the race or the speed you're traveling. So what we're basically going to show you here is we're going to come down a steep hill. We're going to stop in the middle here, show you that we actually have control over the car, and I'm going to do this in first low down with the brakes. Derek doesn't have a first low because he's an auto, so he's going to go down on his brakes solely. And we're going to compare the two cars. This is just to tell you guys that downhills, the manual does have its benefits, but on steep downhills you're still going to need to go onto the brakes to do a controlled descent. Let's see how the cars do. Okay guys, so what we're going to do in this test is I'm actually going to show you what happens to a manual on an uphill. I'm going to drive my car up here, I'm going to stall it in the middle, and then I'm going to use clutch control, handbrake, everything to try and set off on the uphill. Normally on an off-road obstacle, the safest thing to do is foot on the brake, put your car into reverse and reverse down the obstacle and try it again with a bit more momentum. What the auto can do is I'm going to let Derek drive up, I'm going to make him stop, and then I'm going to let him set off, and you're going to see how much easier that is in the auto. In the manual, again, this requires a bit more skill, a bit more practicing. It's a lot of clutch control, handbrake control, brake control, and I'm going to show you a situation that can happen in a controlled environment, and later on we're going to do that on a 4x4 obstacle that's with less traction, a bit more rutted, and you're going to see why the auto is better than the manual on uphills and obstacles like these. Okay guys, so now I'm going to stall in the middle of this obstacle, and with handbrake, clutch control, I'm going to try and set off on this uphill. Let's see if I can do it with the skill I require. Going up, foot on the brake, the car is dead. Now my clutch is in, I start up my car again. It's in first, my handbrake is up, foot on the brake. Now it's all clutch control. Trying to see if I can get up here. And there we go. Then Derek is also going to apply the brakes as soon as he's past these poles. Ready to go, sir. Go for it. Goes up and he stops. And now it's set off, Derek. How easy is that? Well controlled, no rollback, no nothing. And you see, no playing around with the clutch, handbrake, all that type of stuff. Nice and smooth. That's what the auto does for you. We're going to do this again on a 4x4 obstacle, and you're going to see how huge the auto benefit is on this one. Okay guys, for this test we're going to do a drag race. We've got this beautiful 1/4 mile gravel strip. There's actually a bit more sand than gravel, so it's nice and comfy. Derek and I are going to do a few runs on this one. We're both in 4 high. In 2x4 we felt the cars were a bit loose when we did the test, so we're both going to run this in 4 high. We're going to do 2 runs. I think first run we'll put our cars, Derek has got a throttle controller and myself has got a throttle controller. We're going to put them in normal mode. See how they go down the line. See if the manual can actually outperform the auto on the drag. And after that we'll do another run. We will put both our throttle controllers into sport mode and see if that makes a big difference. So let's get to this test. Okay guys, so here's the obstacle we're going to attempt off-road. Again, I'm going to go uphill, I'm going to stop and then attempt to take off again and finish the obstacle. If I can't do that, I don't have enough traction, I'm going to reverse down and try it up smoothly again. Derek is going to do the same with the auto and he's going to make me look stupid. Thanks a lot. Okay guys, so what you saw happening to Derek now is Derek has got diff protectors on, and that little manual monkey at the top, you can see he's catching all the way, and where he needs momentum the most at the top, just to get over that top, the diffs get stuck again, and that's what's holding him up at the top there. He's going to try it one last time with a bit more momentum and see if that momentum can carry him over the top. Let's see how he does. Go for it, Derek. Well done. Okay guys, so we've did all the tests we could do at Sondwani. The only thing we couldn't do was a decent sand test. But unfortunately we don't have all the facilities we require here. But I think we've got a good idea of auto versus manual. And I'm just going to go through a list of stuff. And Derek, I'm going to ask you to comment on those as well. Because you know, you're the guy with the experience on the auto, and we're going to rely on that.
Okay.
So first thing on my list, cost. Currently the manual is 351,000 Rand, brand new Gel X model. Auto going for 372,000, also Gel X spec.
Yeah.
That's a 20 grand difference.
Yeah.
So in my book, with the 20,000 Rand difference, that's a tough dog suspension already on my manual. Next one, fuel consumption. Now, Derek, you said your auto is a bit heavy currently on fuel. And you've got a Power Plus throttle controller.
I have, which makes it even worse.
Yeah, especially in sport mode. But guys, you saw on that drag race now, when we did it in sport, I couldn't get away from Derek totally. In normal mode, I was about a car length ahead of you. So speed difference, not that much, but according to the stats Suzuki give, the manual gives you 6.3 liters per 100, and the auto gives you 6.8 liters per 100 kilometers. Then off-road control. You made it look easy.
The vehicle does everything for you.
You made it look really easy because that auto just keeps it. It doesn't run back at all. And when you set off, it's just foot on the accelerator smoothly and it climbs out. I look like a octopus inside the car because I'm handling handbrake, brake, and then clutch control to get off the hill. So that one, the auto is much better. Wearable parts. I've got a clutch plate, so every few thousand kilometers I'm going to need to do a clutch plate, depending on how rough I use it off-road, because the Jimny has smaller tires with rock crawling, that type of stuff. You're going to get to a place where you're going to have to drive on your clutch. There's no way around it. The wheels are just too small. They don't roll smoothly over rocks, and the auto is going to do that easy. Again, because you've got that anti-stall in the car, and that works well. So that's clutch replacements. That's going to happen. I would say you need to do more regular maintenance on the auto gearbox. The auto gearbox, you're still going to need to do maintenance on it. Swap out oils, all that stuff. Then we're going to go to what happens when you have a flat battery, my friend.
My jumper leads don't help me unless I've got a manual mate around.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's a problem, yeah.
I've got one of those small little jump start batteries.
Okay.
They work well. I also saw that 4x4 Mega World has got a really nice one now, but that's going to set you back, I think, about 4,200 Rand.
Okay.
But that's tough enough to start diesel buckies, so it's going to be a great addition. If you're planning to overland alone, doing a road trip alone, rather have that underneath your seat as a backup.
Okay.
Because when you're flat, you're stuck.
Yeah, you can't miss to it.
Yeah, there's no push start on that one. If I get a gearbox issue while I'm on overlanding trip, let's say my clutch goes, I lose a gear, I can still drive myself out of it with the Jimny. Even when the clutch is gone, on the right revs, I can smash that into different gears and I can go through the gears. Again, you, my friend, unfortunately your trip is ended. You're going back on the back of a flatbed truck. What type of insurance do you have on your car, Derek?
I just got normal road insurance.
Normal
I
road
don't
insurance.
Have any,
Okay. So I would suggest looking at Tough Stuff Insurance and guys like Cross Country, because they do those recoveries when you're stuck in a place doing overlanding. And so that's, I would say, gearbox issues. That's definitely a win for the manual. Okay, so if something goes wrong with the gearbox, your automatic is going to cost a lot more to fix.
I can imagine.
Than the manual. So back of your mind, keep that in mind. It's still going to cost a lot of money to get a manual replaced, but I think auto is almost going to cost you 3 times the amount.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Because it's got different clutches and everything built inside, so it's much more complicated setup. The positive I can say about that is both Jimnys have got unmarried transfer cases. So the transfer case is not part of the gearbox. It's actually a separate part that runs with the drive shaft. So you can still do gear reductions, all that type of stuff on it without affecting the normal auto gearbox. Then static inertia on obstacles. So if I have a type of obstacle where I need to bump the nose on the Jimny onto that obstacle just to get the front tires on, I can do that in the manual. In the auto, it's a much smoother approach because it first needs to build up pressure in the gearbox before you get drive. So it's going to do it nice and smooth, but you do get obstacles where you need to bump it a bit and you need to have that instant power to do that. Then on level sand and small dunes, the auto wins. While you're driving in soft sand and smaller dunes, you're going to get to a place and the auto shifts smoothly through the gears on those type of terrain. Where the manual, if I don't shift correctly or I miss a gear, I slip a gear, something like that, I'm stuck. Where the auto will just keep on going and it will keep on shifting. The problem comes in with bigger dunes. On the bigger dunes, I can stick to one gear. So I can say if it's a high dune, I can build up speed, second gear, and it will stay in that gear. With the auto, I think there's a lot of changes you need to make. There's reprogramming programming that they need to do on the ECU and some fuses you need to pull to make sure it doesn't shift on those dunes. Because auto carries speed, it's got the revs, everything going, and as soon as you need that extra power, it's probably going to shift to a higher gear and it's going to dig you in. So big dunes, it's a no from me. Rock crawling, the auto beats the manual. You can do it a lot smoother, much more controlled. On the manual, you're going to be driving on the clutch a lot because of the wheel size, that type of stuff going in. Uphills, guys, we showed it 2 times to you. Once in a controlled environment and then on a 4x4 obstacle. And as soon as traction is taken away, it gets more difficult. That's why I'm saying, guys, if you get stuck on an obstacle like that, rather reverse down, try it again. Don't try and start from the middle. It's really too difficult. And even with the auto, you saw you couldn't carry enough momentum if you stopped in the middle.
You got to reverse back on that, yeah.
Definitely. Okay, then mud. Another interesting one. Mud is a nice one because that's why we have all-terrain tires. We've got mud terrain tires, and the amount, the faster your tire turns, that's how the tire cleans itself and provides more grip. Unfortunately, with the auto, you're not going to get the tire spinning to clear out that mud. So if you drive in thick mud, the manual is going to outperform it because I can put it in a lower gear and spin those tires to get that them cleaned out and get that grip from the tire again. Then water crossings. Water can enter in the manual where the gearbox connects to the engine. If you don't have a good seal there, everything, water can ingress there. Guys, you still need to have breathers on your diff, your transfer case, but unfortunately on the manual, make sure you don't have any oil leaks or everything, because as soon as you go into that water, the water can get in between your clutch and the flywheel, and that can cause slippage and stuff. On the auto, that's perfectly sealed. You won't have a problem doing water crossings. Bigger tires. I'd say on the standard manual, you can go up to about 30-inch tires without doing a lot of re-gearing and all that stuff. On the auto, I'd say 235s are the max size you should go. Main reason is for day-to-day use. When you're driving city traffic and doing your normal commute on the freeways, that type of stuff. In the Jeeps, you get like a small little electronic programmer that you can program the tire size in, so the gearbox actually knows it's turning faster, and it controls the shifts between gears much better, so you don't get that hunting that's happening. And I don't know if a system like this already exists for the Jimny.
I'm not sure.
I'm also not sure. If you know about that, let us know. I think there would be guys interested in that. And again, I think if you're going to have to do a gear reduction for bigger tires to suit the auto. And that's going to have to be very well thought out and tested before you just go and fit it, because otherwise you're going to have a gearbox hunting all the time for gears. Downhill, you both saw. Like I said, the Jimny is too fast on downhills with a steep gradient. You always need to be on the brakes for that, unfortunately. And with the auto and the manual, I think the big thing comes in when you're doing passes downhill, you're permanently on the brakes on the auto. I can put it in a lower gear and drive on that lower gear and spare a bit of my brakes to prevent brake fade. Then towing. I'd say if you're planning to tow, go for the manual.
Agree.
The autos, the gearboxes get really hot when you heavily loaded, you're towing something, and let's say, you're doing an overlanding trip and you're driving in thick sand. These auto gearboxes get really hot.
I can imagine.
And I'm not sure if it has extra cooling in for the auto box.
I'm not sure either. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so that's something we need to check on the auto and make sure. Most of the guys with the bigger double cabs, if the car doesn't come out with extra cooling for the gearbox, it's always a good idea to have that extra cooling available. It just saves on the maintenance of your auto gearbox. It doesn't get that hot. And the other thing is, when you're driving in grasslands like we did here now, with a transfer case that overheats, your car can catch fire. Especially with the protection plates, the grass gets in everywhere. So watch out for that one, guys. And then load capacity. I think manual again. The manual will be able to handle a lot more load because I can switch to fourth gear and still do 100 kilometers per hour heavily loaded with winds from the front. and you're going to be stuck into the gear the gearbox chooses.
Yeah, yeah. You can do it manually.
Yes,
But it's you've got to drive the car properly then.
definitely.
You've got to be on it's not like a manual where you just do it automatically. Yeah. But I think the manual will be better on that. It's just got a better configuration. For
Yeah,
that sort of thing,
I think that's
yeah.
a better configuration. Then city driving, heavy traffic, the auto beats the manual. It's just much more comfortable ride, especially when you're sitting in traffic. It's not nice to be switching through second and first the whole time, and that happens a lot with me between Pretoria and Johannesburg.
Yeah.
That happens a lot to me. So I think at the end of the day, you need a bit more skill in the manual off-road to give you the same capability as the auto does. But I think that's also a bit of fun factor. So if you want to hone your 4x4 skills, I would say go for the manual. And if you're new to 4x4 and you haven't driven before, maybe look at the auto. It makes you look like a pro off-road. It does.
Right.
It really does. It makes everything look easy. And I'd say, guys, for overlanding, I would rather look at the manual. Flat batteries, all that stuff we mentioned.
Can go wrong. Yeah.
It can go wrong. Fuel consumption, it's going to be lighter on fuel. You can carry more load. You can tow with it easily without major issues. And I think as a city runaround and a weekend warrior, 4x4, go and play, the auto is a great option.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. I think the reason I chose the auto was because I do more city than off-road.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, if I was going to do the other way around, I would have definitely gone for the manual. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
So it's just a personal choice in terms of
Yeah.
your driving style and what you're going to. I'm going to do an overland trip in July.
Yeah.
So I'll probably give you some feedback on that then.
That would be great
Yeah.
if you get a bit of feedback, because now you basically you've got the auto
Yeah.
and you're planning to do that overland trip.
Yeah.
So let's see how it goes. And you know what? Probably you're going to have a good time. My thing is just I don't like a small engine car having an auto gearbox.
Yeah.
I think you at least need a 2-liter engine in a car to
Very
justify an auto gearbox. But the off-road capability makes a massive difference. And like I said, I think everybody's got the pros and cons of each now, and they can make an informed decision before they go out and buy a Jimny.
Yeah.
Buy the correct Jimny for what your use case is. And it's the same way you fit accessories on it.
Absolutely.
You need that use case.
Yeah.
You saw the manual wasn't much faster than the auto in the drag race. When we switched over to the sport mode, the auto even kept up better with the manual, and I couldn't get away from Derek on that one. So have a look at that. Have a look at after you watched all the pros and cons. Hopefully you can see it on the test cases we did.
Yes.
And I'm just going to get rid of this paper because it's flopping all over the place now. I'll pick it up now. Derek, thanks again for joining us for this one.
Yeah, big pleasure.
And I want to thank Marcel and Annalita. We'll post a picture of them. And again, Anel doing all the recording, climbing over stuff for us. Thanks a lot for that, guys. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. And please leave comments. These are only two people's opinions. We'd like to hear other people's opinions.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I think we tried and covered everything that anybody could ask, what the difference between the auto and manual is. And if somebody asks you on Facebook, should I buy auto or manual, show them this video. Post a link.
Yeah.
Post a link. That's why we've got it. We're educating guys, and we're trying to get them to make the right decision, save money, and be safe. So thanks again for joining us.
Big pleasure.
And as always, just Jimny on.
Stay safe.